Hi guys, Kambii here and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a different spin on what I usually do. Today I'm going to talk about my embarrassing Mabinogi story. And for those of you who are friends with me on Mabinogi, you guys probably don't know about this because you guys most of the time would know me as Kambii or Ringo X3, but you guys don't know my old character. So this story comes across when I was on Kambii, which is my very first character, not including the one I made on Mary. But the story probably dates back at around 2000 and I'm going to say like 2009-ish, 2010-ish. I was about maybe like 13 years old, 14 years old, so this story is kind of embarrassing considering I wasn't like the smartest 13-year-old. Anyway, a new character. I just made my character Kambii, and basically all I've been doing were the newbie quests back then when you had to like save sheep and save a girl from a spider and go and attack wolves or something. But I finished those quests, I had my money bags and everything. I don't have a lot of friends on Mabby, and obviously from my experience of playing MapleStory, I like to have friends to like hang out with, do quests together. So I was like, okay. So I'm sitting in Tur, and then out of nowhere I see this group standing in front of the Turkana, or however you pronounce that place, Tur's ad board. And basically the advertisement says, recruiting for a guild. I won't explain the guild or name the guild because firstly the guild's not even alive anymore. It like died years ago. And we're recruiting people to like increase the guild size. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. A great way to make friends is buy a guild, right guys? I walk over there and I'm just like, oh, are you guys still like recruiting and everything? And basically the recruitment consisted of two people, the guild leader and a member of the guild. So I'm gonna name the guild leader. I'm just gonna call her guild leader. She's not really prominent to the story, but I thought, okay, might as well just lay it out there that she's a person and she does get involved in the story. Then there's a character called Z. I'm gonna call him Z because that's all I remember calling him, because as I told you guys before, this was like 5 years ago, so I have like a foggy memory of what happened. So then me and Z and guild leader were just like, okay, we were walking around because they accepted me into their guild. I just joined their party and they sent me the invite, etc, etc. So then we're walking, we're like trying to find new people to add. And so me and Z start talking. We're just like, hey, we're guild partners, we're like guild friends, I guess. So I was like, hey, making small talk, everything. And he's like, hey, he's all good and all. And he, I think, became my first decently close friend. Those friends where you actually hang out with them and where you actually like talk to them and everything. We are walking towards Dumbarton by now. We're heading towards the Guildstone, which is located near Math Dungeon. As we walk there, we meet the officer. Okay, the guild officer was standing there, and he plays a prominent role to this story. So he's standing there, and he's like welcoming all the players. We add more people. There's this guy named, I'm gonna call him Blue because that's all I remember of his name. And then there's this giant that he was like 11 years old at the time. So basically, we're all our friends and everything. We're talking blah 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 blah. And then out of nowhere, like more people come, it starts expanding, and let me do a little time lapse. We start doing more dungeons together, we start hanging out together, and this is in like a time span of maybe like 3 weeks, 3 weeks up to a month. And then out of nowhere, I start sensing that Z is being more kind to me. He was like offering to help me with anything I needed, like my generation quests. And at that time, I think the guild officer recently finished his Generation 1 quest, or 2. Finished his Generation 2 quest, so he got Paladin. And I was so jealous, because at the time, my Kambii character is a human. So I was like, oh my god, I really want to get that transformation. So Z was so sweet. He was just like, oh, I'll help you, like go get more quests, try to help you finish up G2, etc, etc. So I'm like, oh my god, thank you so much. Oh, that's so kind of you. So, and then at the time I only had one pet, and that's the cat, because I was too young to go and have a PayPal, and my parents wouldn't let me get any NX cards. So I was like, my only option was to just get whatever I can get with the little money I had from selling stuff in MapleStory. So I had NX left over from MapleStory, the MTS, before it got removed. So I bought a cat for myself. I named it Chacos. He knew, like Z knew that I didn't have a mountain pet. And at the time, I was really jealous for those who did have a mountain pet. So he was like, he one time got NX, and he's like, oh, by the way, Tammy, I got NX if you want to, like, if you need anything. And I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. Like, I'm good. I don't like taking people's money. And he's like, no, I insist. And after, like, constant, like, diddly-daddling, we're like, okay, fine. I really want to get a double-mounted horse. So he got me the I forgot the name of it. But anyway, it's that tan one, the one you can't die. And I named it Kambii Jr. So that's my gift from Z. And then, so as we're talking, like, he starts to show signs that he actually kind of likes me. And this is where my embarrassing story comes in. And this is where the officer comes in. So at that time, I developed some sort of, like, attraction towards the guild officer. And I don't even know the person. Like, we've talked and we were friends, and I actually talked with Z more than the guild officer, but the guild officer I did talk to the second most in the game. So we had some sort of attraction together, and I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm juggling between two people. Z is really, really sweet. He should be the ideal, right? But here comes the guild officer. He's always complimented me. He's always, like, talked with me. He showed some interest to me too, but he hasn't showed great interest like Z has. So I'm just, like, jungled in feelings because I really appreciate what Z's done for me. He's helped me so much. And Guild Officer has also helped me a lot, but he didn't help me as much. Maybe, like, divide what Z did in half, and that's how much my Guild Officer helped me with. So at this moment, I'm, like, jungled in thoughts. And so this is where my guild member Blue comes in. He's been giving me advice on what to do. Like, I told him, like, oh my god, what should I do? Like, I'm, like, juggled into these two people, and then he was just like, oh no, you don't need to worry about that, just go with your feelings flow. He was so sweet. Like, I think I just really, like, I'm really thankful for what he did for me. And right now, when I look back, I kept thinking, like, why am I juggling between Z and Guild Officer? Blue was extremely nice. Like, he gave me advice, he helped me through it, etc, etc. So then after my jungling feelings were occurring, we ended up going to Math Dungeon, I believe. And as we're going through Math Dungeon, we're with all these friends, and this guy, this random stranger that we ended up adding, continues to, like, flirt with me. And at first I thought it was cute, but then it started to get really annoying. Like, when we were done with Math Dungeon, he would start saying, oh my god, I don't have a girlfriend. Oh my god, nobody likes me. At the time, I was just like, oh no, don't worry. I like you. You're a nice guy. Like, don't think that way. I don't like people thinking in such a negative way. So he was just like, I think he took it the wrong way. And that was my fault for, like, throwing it out there like that. So lately, after that, he's been starting to come to our stone a lot. He's been starting to chat me up a lot, saying, hey beautiful, hey pretty, hey babe. And then he starts inviting me to things, and I start to get worried because firstly, I have to juggle between Z and Guild Officer, my two mixed up 13-year-old feelings for those two people. And then I have to deal with Blue. I think I had, like, some sort of small attraction, so it's like a square or something. And then I have to deal with this guy who's, like, flirting with me. I'm like, no, I can't deal with all this as a 13-year-old mind. So then it started to get really, like, stressful. And then out of nowhere, like, Z's starting to get bored of Mabinogi, and he tells me he's gonna start playing another game. He asked me if I'd wait for him until he came back to Mabinogi, and yeah, I kind of said yes, but that's bad of me. So once he left, within that week, me and the Guild Officer got really close. We started talking, and I realized my feelings were really strong for him because every time he was with another female, I'd be like, kind of jealous. I hate admitting that, but yes, I was kind of jealous when he was with another female character. So then eventually I told him, like, oh, I think I might like you, blah blah, and he's like, oh, I feel the same way. And then we ended up getting married on Mabinogi. So this is where it goes downhill. Once we got married, I started double thinking and regretting my decision. Basically, every day I would come on, he'd be like, hey babe, and I'd be like, hey, and I put hearts. But this is the twist. Before we got married, I put a status saying, getting married to his name. And then, Z comes on. And he's like, hey, I'm back. And I'm like, hey. But for those who play Mabinogi, you guys know that if you write your status, it will show up when you chat someone. So I was just like, oh my god, I just blew it. And then at first he acted normal. So I was talking to Blue, I was like, okay, I don't think he noticed, I don't think he noticed. And then Blue's like, I think he noticed. And I'm like, what do you mean you think he noticed? And he's like, he's consulting me about it. And I'm like, okay. So then I chatted up him really quick. I was just like, oh my god, I am so sorry, Z. Like, I did not mean to hurt your feelings like that. Like, holy shit. So then he's just like, no, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Don't worry, don't worry. And I'm like, are you gonna attend the wedding? And I'm like, and then he's like, I'm not sure. So then I go to the wedding altar thing, and I'm sitting with a guild officer and his friend and people we invited, like our guild members. And then Z walks in. He walks in, goes up to the guild officer, and he's just like, I can't believe you just did that to me. They were like best friends, I'll tell you that. They were like really close, so I kind of feel bad for this, but their friendship was literally ruined because of this. And he straight up walks to the guild officer, and he was just like, how could you do this to me? You knew that I liked her. Like, you just used my like absence as an advantage to get closer to her, blah blah. And then Blue's like, oh, you gotta chill, don't do that, don't cause a fight or anything, it's alright. And the guild leader was trying to help too, but he was like, no. And then guild officer sits up and he's like, oh hell no. He was just like, what are you talking about? Like, she fell for me, blah blah blah, and it's just this whole drama. And then Z's like, you know what? I'm quitting, he says. He says, I'm going to quit Mabby. This is tiring. And I'm like, no, Z, don't quit. Oh my god, I started begging him not to quit, and he's just like, no, this is getting out of hand. Like, first I told you to wait, and I'm like, but you weren't on for so long. He's like, but you promised you'd wait. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's my bad. He goes to guild officer and starts yelling at him, and he gets so upset, blah blah. And then I'm just like, okay. So anyway, after that we get married, blah blah, and then I start double thinking it. I'm just like, why am I doing this? I just made a friendship disappear. I was very indecisive. So then I decided I can't take this anymore. So I end up just quitting out of nowhere. I just didn't tell anyone. I just logged off Mabinogi and didn't go on for about 2 months. And then after 2 months, I actually go back on, but I make a new character. And they knew that Kambii was my assistant elf, so I couldn't go on it because I actually wanted to stay away from them. So I made my character Ringo X3. I started off as a noob. I bought the Sailor premium card at the time, so that way I had an outfit to wear. And it was just me and my brother. We were doing silly things. We didn't really hang out with any other people online because I was just like, I don't want to deal with drama anymore. Finally, I decided, okay, I'm going to go on my Kambii character. I should be hiding. So I finally go on, and my guild leader's like, oh my god, Tammy, you're on! And Blue's like, oh my god, you're on! Oh my god, do you know how much I missed you? And then there's the guild officer. He was the one I was really scared to confront about this. My camera kind of like turned off on its own or something. Let me try to adjust the lighting again. So anyway, that's basically my story. And then funny thing is, I think about 4 years later after that experience, I saw him again, my guild officer in Dumbarton. I was on Kambii that time. And I remember seeing his name and I was just like, is that him? Is that really my guild officer? Because at the time my memory is kind of foggy of like who I knew back then. And so I told my friend, my best friend on Mabinogi, to note him saying, were you by any chance in the past in this guild called blank? And so he noted back my friend saying yes, why? And I also told her to ask him if he knew a character named Tammy. And he's like, yeah, why? How do you know that? I started getting all defensive. And then she, being the I'm so mad at her about this, but so kind of happy that she did this. She added him and then invited me into the chat and then left. And then I'm like, ... And he's like, you're Tammy? Because I remember your elf. And that was Kambii. And I'm like, yep, that's me. And he's like, oh, long time no see. I'm like, yeah, long time no see. So basically, we start talking, we became friends again. It's kind of funny, but he's like on and off Mabby lately, so we don't really talk with each other. But we did fix up that bad note. And to put a rundown, I have no clue what happened to Z. I mean, I haven't talked with him for 5 years. After he quit, I don't know where he went. And because I deleted my Tambi character because I hated all that drama and remembering it, like, I literally don't remember his in-game name. That's why I call him Z. So that's the end of my story, and if you guys like more embarrassing stories like that, I actually have one for Maple's story. Thank you so much for staying subscribed to me, and I'll hope to figure out another story to give you guys. Alright, bye!